All right, let's jump right into this incredible ancient text from the Mahabharata. What we're exploring today is a narrative that reveals a deeply emotional, timeless struggle about the horrific tangible cost of weak leadership. You know, we often think of ancient texts as abstract or distant, right? But this explainer is going to show you just how intensely personal and painfully relevant the politics of survival can actually be.
So, I want you to keep this question in the back of your mind. What happens when your greatest protector is also your deadliest predator? This paradox perfectly frames our whole discussion today. We're going to explore a situation where a town's absolute, guaranteed safety comes at an unimaginable, blood-curdling price. It's essentially a classic deal with the devil, but mapped out as a very real, very terrifying system of local governance.
Section 1. An incurable grief. A conversation that unveils a nightmare.
Our narrative starts out really intimately. A woman named Kunti gently approaches a grieving Brahmana who is a man of learning and spiritual focus, and she asks him to explain his sorrow, hoping she might be able to help him out. It's just a simple human interaction of offering aid to someone in distress. But his immediate, crushing response sets a tone of absolute despair. He tells her, flat out, that this grief is incapable of being removed by any human being. This makes it instantly clear that his family is facing an inescapable tragedy. I mean, this isn't just a bad day or a run of bad luck. This is a systemic, terminal diagnosis for his family. And he knows that regular human intervention simply isn't going to cut it.
Section 2. The Cannibal's Protection Fee. The horrific cost of safety.
To really grasp this grief, we have to zoom out and look at the terrifying, structural reality of the town they live in. Paradoxically, the town is completely safe. They literally have zero fear from outside enemies, machinations, or any living soul. And why is that? Well, because they are fiercely protected by a monstrous Rakshasa named Vaka. This cannibalistic being, a chief of the Asuras, basically runs the territory like an immensely powerful mafia boss. He absolutely guarantees their borders. But that guarantee has some major strings attached. That safety comes with an exact, horrific price. Varka's mandatory protection fee isn't paid in gold or silver. No, it's a cartload of rice, 2 buffaloes, and, here's the kicker, 1 human being whose explicit job is just to deliver the food and then become part of the meal themselves. A human life is just casually bundled with livestock and grains. It's a chillingly transactional approach to human existence.
So how on earth does a town even sustain this? Through a gruesome system of rotation. This brilliant, albeit terrifying, arrangement ensures that an agonizing dread just hangs over every single family. Instead of chaotic, random attacks, the monster has instituted an orderly civic duty. Every household simply has to wait their turn. Now, the interval takes many long years, meaning families actually live in peace, raise their children, and build their lives, all under the shadow of a ticking clock.
Now, you might be wondering, why not just refuse? Well, the crucial point here is that there is absolutely no opting out of this protection racket. As the text lays out, non-compliance guarantees total annihilation. If a family tries to hide or refuses to send a member when their turn finally comes up, the Rakshasa doesn't just kill the person meant for the fee. He slays and devours the entire family, right down to the last child. The threat is absolute.
Section 3. A failure of leadership when the throne is empty of wisdom.
The Brahmana does something super interesting here. He actually pivots. He shifts his focus from the immediate physical threat of the monster with the fangs to the systemic political failure that allowed this monster to take power in the first place. We're looking at the ultimate political vacuum. On one hand, we have Varka the Rakshasa. He's horrific, yes, for sure, but he is endued with great might. He actively protects the town and he enforces his laws strictly. He is actually governing. On the other hand, we have the legitimate human king, the king of Vetrakiya. The Brahmana describes him as ignorant of the science of government, weak, and possessing little intelligence. The human king is utterly useless, which is exactly what allowed the monster to fill the void. What honestly struck me deeply about this is that the Brahmana turns his analytical critique inward. He doesn't just curse the king, he curses himself and his own community. He says we certainly deserve it all, because they tolerated this weak monarch. They chose to stay and live in perpetual anxiety rather than demanding a ruler who actually secures the territory for the future. It's a stunning moment of civic accountability in such an ancient text. And there's this bitter irony to his pacific position. As a Brahmana, a wandering ascetic and scholar, he always had the fundamental freedom to simply pack up and fly away.
He describes his kind as being like birds, dependent on nobody, free to range across all countries. He wasn't tied to the land like a farmer would be. He stayed in a failing state entirely by choice, or maybe just by complacency. To explain how he got so completely trapped, he breaks down this highly specific three-step philosophy for a successful, secure life. It's basically the ancient order of operations. Step 1, secure a good king. Step 2, secure a wife. Step 3, secure wealth. The logic here is impeccable, right? A good king provides the secure environment you need to safely raise a family, and then wealth provides the resources to sustain them.
But the Brahmana confesses a fatal error. He admits his actions were the exact reverse. He acquired a family without first ensuring he lived under a competent king. And he did it without securing the wealth needed to protect them in a crisis. Because he failed step 1, his family is now a huge vulnerability rather than a joy, plunging him, as he puts it, into a sea of danger.
Section 4. The impossible choice, a devastating final decision.
So we come crashing right back down from the grand theory of statecraft to the horrific reality sitting on his doorstep today. The years of dread are finally over. The fatal turn has devolved upon his family. Their number has been pulled. And because he failed step 3 of the security order, securing wealth, he has zero money to buy a human substitute. The rich in this town might be able to purchase a desperate soul to take their place, but his poverty removes literally his only potential loophole.
Sunk in just an absolute ocean of grief, he realizes the sheer impossibility of his situation. He looks at his wife, his children, and he states it clearly. He cannot consent to part with any of them. I mean, how do you even begin to choose which child to feed to a monster to save the others? You can't. And he sees no way of escape from the Rakshasa's clutches. Which brings us to the emotional climax and his devastating resolution. He chooses the total destruction of his entire family. He decides they are all going to go together today to be devoured all at once. It is a haunting choice, but to him, it's better to face complete annihilation together than to endure the surviving trauma of systematically tearing his own family apart just to feed the beast.
I want to leave you with a final provocative thought today. We started this explainer with a monster demanding flesh. But as this text so powerfully demonstrates, when the throne is empty of wisdom and courage, that ensuing political vacuum creates nightmares right in the homes of everyday people. So I have to ask you, when systemic failure forces a father into this ultimate horrific sacrifice, who is the true monster? The cannibal acting on its nature, or the weak king who completely abandoned his duty? Think about that for a bit, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.